right there, those 3 little radio buttons, if you're familiar with Infusionsoft, you set those up with checkboxes, but then with some HTML, you can convert them to radio buttons. So basically, someone fills out this form. They want the free report, and they give us first name, last name, email, and then they select, I'm a homeschool teacher or I'm a classroom teacher. And the reason they're doing this is because they had, in the 18 months that they had been running their business, they had been only pitching to homeschool mothers. But at about the time I went to go visit with them, they had decided, hey, we're going to start going after school districts. Because we've had a few classroom teachers talk to us and say, hey, this stuff is amazing. We think our whole district should have it. And so they had just started promoting to schools. So then they wanted to know, when people fill out this form, are you a classroom teacher or are you a schoolroom teacher or a homeschool teacher? And so by adding that little radio button, then they were able to automatically follow up with those people depending on who they are, right? So you fill out that form, you download the free report. If you check homeschool teacher, you're going to get a bunch of follow-up about teaching your kids at home, techniques to keep them engaged, techniques to help them learn faster when you've got 2 or 3 kids at home that you're teaching at the same time, all that kind of stuff. And if you choose classroom teacher, you're going to get a whole different set of follow-up, which is all about how to engage with 30 people at a time, and how to keep your class under control, and how to teach these techniques when you're talking to 30 different people. So the follow-up is different. So it's a very powerful tool that they use to start segmenting their list automatically. This is, I call it leveraging your prospect's time, right? They're spending 10 seconds to fill out that form. It takes them a quarter of a second longer to check that radio button. You may as well have them do it. Now you've gathered some really powerful information about them. And then they also have their newsletter checkbox right there. So they've still got their newsletter going on. And that checkbox is pre-checked, so people can uncheck it if they want. So they can continue with their newsletter and all that communication that they already have, but now they're going to have the automatic follow-up depending on who the person is. I still don't understand whoops, I pushed the wrong button. Still don't understand what other is. I don't know. But I'm not sure what happens there. But if you're other, then you check other. So then they said, okay, we've got this shopping cart. They were using ShopSite, I think it's called. And they had it set up exactly the way they wanted it. Page layouts just right. They had, what they like to do is list all their products, and then right next to them, leave a little text box where people can type in, I want 2 of these, I want 3 of these, I want 4 of those, and hit add to cart, and it adds them all to the cart at once. Well, if you're familiar with our e-commerce solution, you know that order forms don't do that, and our storefront doesn't do that either. And so when I started talking about, okay, the solution that we have is our order forms or our storefront, they really wanted to back out at that point. They said, you know what, if we can't sell this stuff the way we want to do it, we don't really want to be a part of this case study. We can't go totally change directions on our customers because we've worked with this and we've honed it and perfected it and tested it, and we know that this system works. And so I sat down with Matt, our webmaster, and we said, okay, how do we make this work? And okay, we already went through that. We decided, look, the link generator, secret little tool inside of Infusionsoft. If you go to your shopping cart setup, the link generator allows you to select the products that you want to bundle together and create a link that if someone clicks on it, they'll end up in the shopping cart with all those products bundled together, ready to buy, right? So we said, look, all the link generator does is it creates this big, long, ugly URL with a bunch of information in it, right? So it tells us here product ID 630, what did it say, 63, and then product 63 quantity 2 and product ID 90. So if you could figure out what all that means, but you don't really need to. So we took that idea and said, look, we'll just build in some JavaScript on this shopping cart page that they have. I had a screenshot in here. It must have gone away. We'll just build in some JavaScript there to basically create one of those links and then redirect someone through that link. So depending on what they select, which products they select, and what quantity they select, we'll just use that link generator technology, pass them through that link, and then they end up in the shopping cart with the products that they selected. And so they were extremely happy with that. So this is one example of the ways we've been able to kind of overcome the limitations of the system, just kind of working with the different solutions that we do have. So the other thing was we added some upsells. And they're not currently doing any upsells, so I went to go grab a screenshot, and I couldn't get one, so I grabbed one from Amazon. And you've all seen this technique, right? You put stuff in the cart, and then it says, oh, people who bought this also bought this. And the idea was to get people to say, hey, I want level 1, and then when they get into the cart, it says, look, if you buy level 2, you'll have it on hand as soon as you're done with level 1, and trying to get people to upsell and increase their order total. We talked about the drop-off level. Drop-off from level to level is 50%, so level 1 to level 2 to level 3. And so what we did there is we put in follow-up sequences based on what they bought. If someone goes through the cart and buys only product or only level 1, there's a follow-up sequence. It's very specific and timed because they're supposed to go through level 1, I think, in 60 days. So it kind of primes them throughout those 60 days, but at about 60 days, it starts talking about, hey, you should be done with level 1, and here's a promotion for level 2, 20% off if you buy now, all this kind of stuff. And so they had this ongoing follow-up to push people from level 1 to level 2 and from level 2 to level 3. Now they think they just launched level 5. So they're doing this with all the levels to increase their upsells and increase their customers' retention and have those people return over and over. So here, you want to know the results, right? Did we do it or not? Yes, we did. We claimed we were going to double their sales in 3 months. We actually doubled their sales in 72 days. And this is the chart that shows the red line is number of orders, and the blue line is revenue. And they asked us to not share the actual revenue numbers, so we don't have those on there. But you can see that this is the first month we started. And it just so happened that that month they were launching level 4. That's why you see a big spike. And I included the entire history here to show you, here's when they launched level 3. So the spike is not entirely us, right? But you can see that even after that spike, the second and third months were right up there as well. And if you ask them now, they can show you the chart is continuing to grow. So let's take a look at this in a little more detail. That's our 3-month period. The 3-month period prior to that, which is basically the way we were gauging our sales, right? Did we double sales of the prior 3 months? Yes, absolutely. And then I said, well, since they launched a product during the 3 months prior to that, let's compare it to that 3-month segment. And of course, we doubled sales compared to that 3-month segment as well. And so the sales trajectory that they were on prior to Infusionsoft coming on is about like that. So they'd been working on their business for 18 months, growing it pretty steadily, doing fairly well. But then we turned on Infusion, and things drastically changed. And that's their growth trajectory now. And they're ecstatic customers of ours. Marie says, Infusionsoft is a solution for small businesses that think big and have huge goals. All About Spelling has grown 5-fold in the past year, 2007 revenue compared to 2008 revenue, and continues to grow. The way we look at it, planning and implementing solid solutions early on will pay off tremendously in terms of sales and time saved later. So let's look a little bit more in detail at the results. They had spent 18 months growing their business, growing their list. They had a list of 5,863 people before we implemented Infusionsoft. Within 3 months, we doubled that to 10,632. So 18 months, 3 months, it started happening a little faster. The 3-month period prior to our case study, they sold 599 units, 599 purchases. During our 3-month period, 1,232. Average order size increased by 16%. We attribute that to the upselling process, right? Getting people to having the upsells in the cart. And so you're increasing order total by getting people to buy more when they're already engaging. They're already in the emotional buying frenzy, right? And then we didn't get the affiliate program implemented and launched until about the middle of the 3rd month. But even with that short of a time, they got 49 sales in that last month from affiliates. So sales that they never would have gotten before. And then they had this referral program in place, and they drove almost 50 sales from it. Like I said, we doubled their sales in 72 days. And in the end of 3 months, it was a 149% increase in sales. So Marie says, another big benefit that I've been pointing out to people who call or email us about Infusionsoft, we've been able to hire 2 VAs who work for us on a daily basis. This has really freed me up to work on product development. I never could have done that before when the data was all scattered in different applications, Excel, shopping cart, Aweber, email, etc. But since everything is centrally located now, my assistants can handle customer service and tackle projects for us, and I don't have to worry about anything slipping through the cracks. We win, and our customers win. Love it. So they're super excited. I'll just kind of run through real quickly a couple of other things that we did for them, because we didn't just fix their follow-up failure, and you might want to be aware of some of the other things that we looked at. We did help them write some website copy. We helped them write some follow-up copy as well. We converted their site to Joomla so that Marie could manage her site content on her own. And they had a webmaster that they were having to outsource all this stuff. And we had recently gone through the transition to Joomla and had played with it a lot. And so we thought, oh, we'll just help her do that. I wrote an API script to help them print packing slips. So they get these orders in, and then they need to package them and ship them off. And if you're familiar with the invoicing system in Infusionsoft, if you wanted to print invoices or print packing slips, you'd have to open up every order individually, print it, and that's a pain when you're processing 600 orders a month. And so we wrote an API script that every day they just go and they load the page and hit print. And it just prints all the packing slips for that day. They can actually select, hey, I want to print an invoice or I want to print a packing slip, formats them slightly differently. That code is actually in the community if you want it. I put it on the community.infusionsoft.com. It's in there. We also created a word-of-mouth affiliate redirect. So what is that? All of their affiliates, or most of their affiliates, were not online affiliates. They're all these homeschool mothers. And they wanted them to be able to go talk to their friends and not have to say, hey, if you want all about spelling stuff, go to mariaripple.infusionsoft.com/go/redirect/my code, all this extra stuff, right? That's ridiculous. And so they happen to own, their site resides on all-about-spelling.com. But they happen to own allaboutspelling.com without the dashes. They weren't using that domain. So I said, why don't we make it so that people can just say, hey, go to allaboutspelling.com/Tyler. And that'll redirect them through an affiliate redirect and then onto their site, gets that cookie in there, and then when they buy, those people get credit. And so they saw a great uptake of their affiliate program by using that method, being able to shorten that affiliate redirect so that people could use it in a word-of-mouth situation. They don't have to talk about the dashes, all-about-spelling. It's just allaboutspelling/Tyler, whatever their code is, right? And that helped them a ton. So Marie calls me the other day and says, hey, you were right. We're busting at the seams, and we're looking to outsource our fulfillment. And I said, told you so. This stuff is no joke, man. Infusionsoft grows businesses, and it grows them fast. So with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Jeff Mask, because he's going to come up here for a few minutes and talk to you about how you guys can leverage Infusionsoft to help you double your sales in 3 months or less.